You got what I need.
He's just such a natural.
Plus, you say Chris is just a friend, but you say Chris is just a friend. Oh, baby,
I think the sky's the limit.
you got what I need.
I don't know if you learn a lot of these things.
But you say Chris is just a friend. You say Chris is just a friend.
It was perfectly boring.
Well, this could be the last time you hear Sipple singing, because it sounds like we might have a rift in Journal Star Nation. Chris Basnett joining us in the stream here live on Stibbs TVs, rocking the tailor-made original golf hat. Look at it here. Let's get a close-up here.
Oh, it
Hang
looks
on.
so good, man.
Take a look. Look at that.
Cool.
I gotta say, there's at least one thing for sure. It's definitely better than John's hat.
What's wrong with my hat? What's wrong with my hat?
Wow.
This is from the very first Brickyard 400.
Yeah, that's a collector's item.
It is.
Yeah, it should be on a wall somewhere, not on your head.
Well, actually, it's been in my closet, or actually, it's been on my hat hook down in the basement for the last 10 years. I don't think I've worn this thing since I moved into this house.
I could tell.
But
Love it.
back to the original story.
Yeah, we got beef. I got beef.
So apparently, Steve Sipple, who has been asked to golf by Baz for how long now?
Well, since I started the Journal Star, so 4 years ago, basically 3.5.
So you've been on him to say, hey, we are coworkers, we are compadres, we are friends, we are car mates when we drive to road games. We should golf sometime, and he has turned you down at every turn. And now I see today he is golfing with someone.
It's not that he's even turned me down. It's that in classic Sipple fashion, he talks a lot of trash about how he could beat me and I wouldn't stand a chance and all this. And I say, all right, let's go. I don't have time. And now, I see he's at Jim Ager today with young Jake Sorensen playing golf. Has already played golf, so. I got a lot of questions for the old man whenever I see him again.
But doesn't it, Baz, at least make you feel a little bit better that they're golfing at the pitch and putt Jim Ager, which is the public par 3 course? So is it really like he's golfing?
Well, that's the only place I think you would go to play golf. Like, I don't think I could get him out to like Pioneers here in Lincoln or, Wilderness Ridge or something like that. I don't think we're going to get on Firethorn anytime soon. So you take what you can get. With
Sip seems like the kind of guy who has like a driver, a 7-iron, wedge, and a
putter,
and that's it.
He's got a 30-year-old 5-iron that he's never cleaned in his life. Like,
he's got like a 2-iron somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll bet you anything one of his clubs is a Sam Snead.
And made of wood and made of actual wood. He's got a wood that's actually wood.
It's got the original grip on it. Like you might as well be holding like an icicle. Like it's so slick.
And the best part too, Baz, as you pointed out during the break, Jake is dressed to the nines. He looks like a professional going out to a par 3 course. It's like you can't even like untuck the shirt for a day.
Yeah.
Like
just relax
to go play putt.
Yeah, just relax, guys. Come on, I'm angry.
So,
is the
okay? Well, We'll try not to dredge up old wounds. Then
I get your frustration. I've been trying to get him in a boxing ring for like a year, and he said the same thing. Like, "Oh, I'd kill you. Don't stand a chance." I'm like, "All right, this weekend." He's like, "Well, okay."
Yeah.
I'm drinking margaritas.
And on the same note, you guys have tried to get me to golf with you at Miracle Hill for a couple of years now, and I have not done that. So maybe I shouldn't be talking.
We'll look for the picture of you and Jake golfing next week, then, and be very upset about it.
At Miracle Hill.
During this segment, during this time.
Show. Guys, I can't come on. I'm playing golf. Sorry.
Baz couldn't be on this week because he's golfing with Jake.
He's at Miracle Hill playing golf with Jake.
who's dressed in a tuxedo and an ascot.
He's sweating profusely. I don't know why.
I have no idea. Chris Basnett joining us from the Lincoln Journal-Star. We were talking about recruiting in our last segment and kind of the differences. There was a good story in The Athletic this week from Scott Docterman. Iowa has been on a really good run here as of late with recruiting and just the differences in how the two programs go about it. Iowa usually is at the bottom of the list in terms of offers. Nebraska is usually at the top of the list when it comes to offers. They'll blanket the country with offers. Do you see at some point any philosophical change Scott Frost will want to make in recruiting, or is this an area where the results have been pretty good? Now it's the next step of actually going out and turning these guys into great college football players.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. That's the trick with recruiting, right? You don't know how good your recruits are until it's 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road, especially with college football. So I don't know if we're going to see a major shift, in the next year, maybe even in the next 2 years, just because I think you have to wait and see what happens with the guys they've gotten. And there seems to be a lot of promise with the guys they've brought in, the guys they've redshirted. You look at the offensive line recruits for the next couple of years and just mammoth guys. And if those guys pan out, you go, well, okay, maybe this is working a little bit. But at the same time, you look at some other positions, how thin is wide receiver, how thin is running back, how thin is outside linebacker, and something hasn't clicked there, hasn't worked there yet. So it might be a deal where you don't see a full scale shift, in the entire recruiting strategy, but you may see, changes based on the position.
Baz, the news of the week with name, image, likeness. I'm curious as we kind of begin the conversation, what changed for Nebraska and their brass embracing this more, do you think, over the last, 6 months to a year? Because they were pretty staunchly in one camp and then everything flipped. It just makes me think that the right person finally started speaking to them about the benefits that this could have for the university.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think back to Fred Hoiberg this fall at Big Ten Basketball Media Day, and he was asked about, name and image likeness, and he talked about how he would have loved that when he was a player because he would have made a lot of money in Ames, Iowa, as a kid that grew up there and in a similar situation to Lincoln where it's kind of the main show in town. And certainly that probably played a role in it. But yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of it was just Nebraska realizing this could be a huge recruiting advantage for us because these guys are the show, right? Like the football players are the show, the basketball players are the show, the volleyball players, the baseball players. There's an opportunity. We just talked about recruiting. There's an opportunity to maybe have a pretty big advantage in recruiting based on, hey, if you come here, you're going to be able to make a lot of money off your name, and we're going to be at the front of that.
Chris Basnett joining us from the Lincoln Journal-Star. We had the news break, 2 nights ago about the NCAA and this lawsuit involving Capri Davis. Of course, it brings up Andre Hunt and Katerian Legrone again in this case. Surprised we haven't heard more from the university on this. It's been, 48 hours since this came out, and so far I believe the legal counsel said, well, it's a pending lawsuit and we have nothing else to say here. Does it surprise you we haven't heard anything more regarding this case?
Not necessarily, because I think they're trying to be very, very careful about it. I don't think, when it first broke, I wasn't, holding my breath for Scott Frost to come out and hold a press conference, or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think they just have to be so careful in how they go about it because it's a legal matter, because it involves, guys from the football team, a volleyball player, some other people. I think it's just so kind of widespread and so wide ranging. It's tough to say anything other than what the university has said, and that it's a pending legal matter and we can't comment right now because, look, it puts the university in a very precarious spot. And obviously, the number one thing is you want to have justice and make sure everything is handled in the proper way, but it puts the football team obviously in a very precarious position, even maybe more so than it was before. And it puts the athletic department and the university at whole in a precarious position when it comes to how it's, allegedly handled Title IX and students' rights and things like that. So it's tough, I think, for the university right now because they're not really in a position where they can come out and be making a lot of, bold statements about what may or may not have happened and how they're going to handle it.
Yeah, and it just, not to make light of the situation at all, Baz, but it just reminds me once again, just some of the most strange and horrible in some ways and weird ways to begin. This is 2.5 years now into the Frost regime. And it's just like every time it seems like they're about to take that step forward, something happens and they take a step back. Games have been canceled. Players have been kicked off the team. Now there's a pandemic and they're not able to practice. And then the latest, it's just like, you wonder when this place is going to be able to catch a break.
Yeah, it's kind of one thing after the other, right? Especially with football. And it's always with football. It seems like, basketball is what it is, and they seem to be moving in the right direction. And obviously volleyball is great, but football, it's just been they step on a rake and then they turn around and step on another one. And then they fall down a hole trying to pick the rake up. It's just one thing after the other. And they either A, can't get out of their own way, or B, have just suffered bad luck, whether that's losing a close game or, like you said, having a game canceled or the pandemic or whatever it may be. So it's a program that needs some positive stuff to happen to it. And not just one thing, not just going out and beating Iowa or beating Wisconsin or whatever. They need a string of good things to happen to I think, kind of turn the momentum back in the right direction.
These things, the stuff that came out in the lawsuit are new. Some of them are new to us, new to the public. But it's obviously things that have been known inside the athletic department to some degree or another for the last several months. But the thing I think that makes this one a little more tricky than the others, beyond just the normal, it's a Title IX case, it's male versus female, it also pits, in a way, the football program versus the volleyball program.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with a volleyball player who's making these allegations against football athletes. And we read the snippet from the lawsuit that essentially said, the reason why we're doing this is because the university has fostered an environment that prioritizes the male athletes over the female athletes, which anytime you read that in this day and age, it's like red flags are going up everywhere.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of red flags, and you can make the argument that it's Nebraska's two highest profile programs, right? Like, especially with the success the volleyball team has had, the coach they have, who's a legend here, and the players are treated every bit, by the fan base, they're treated every bit the celebrity that football players are, for the most part. So, yeah, it's a lot of red flags, and it's a situation where inside the athletic department, I can only imagine, what it's like, what does it look like when John Cook and Scott Frost pass each other, at the training table or whatever, what are those conversations like? What's that relationship like? What's that relationship like now between the volleyball players, the football players, basketball players, baseball players, whatever it may be. There's obviously relationships that have been strained there, and there's very serious allegations that are being dealt with. So yeah, it's a situation where if you're in this athletic department and you're in a leadership position in this athletic department, you got some real issues on your hands and some real hard questions that you need to answer, and things that need to get figured out, in a big hurry to set everything on the right path.
Baz, I don't mean to transition to Teddy Allen because of some of the stuff we're talking about, but obviously he has had an interesting past leading into his career at Nebraska. But I wanted to ask you about him specifically on the floor, because I was thinking about this the other day. What would a good career at Nebraska look like for Teddy Allen? Beyond, of course, staying on the floor, making sure everything is okay. But when you look at his potential, the type of scoring that he can bring, the type of player he is, what do you think a good, not even like great, but just a good career look like for him at Nebraska?
Well, look, he's an elite scorer, right? And he's proven that. Like, yeah, he averaged 32 points a game at JUCO, and that's great, But he did it at West Virginia on a really good West Virginia team, and averaged double figures, in the tournament. You talk about Nebraska taking that next step under Fred Hoiberg, and how quickly Fred Hoiberg turned it around in year 2 and year 3 at Iowa State. I think Teddy's got the potential to be, one of those guys that's a leading face in that. If it happens at Nebraska, they know he can score. They know that. That's what he's brought here to do. My dog's losing his mind. He's excited.
I was wondering. I was looking. We've got Chris on the ISO right now. And then I immediately, of course, when I heard the noise, I looked into the Stibbs camera, and Stibbs isn't there. I thought maybe Stibbs was snorting into the microphone or something.
Well, he might be snorting. That's why he left the room. Maybe he's snorting.
No. As he returns and has no idea what's going on.
Yeah. Has a mask over his entire face so he can't see his nose. Yeah. It's Teddy Allen's going to be one of the faces of this program, I think, for the next 2 years. I don't think there's any question about that. So you say good career. It's tough to say, to see him come out and average, 15, 17 points a game for the next 2 years. If he does that, and Nebraska turns it around, then there's your star. There's the guy you look back 10, 15 years from now and say, that guy was the key. That's why Nebraska did it. So I think Teddy, and again, it's all potential because we don't know, right? But we know Teddy Allen's talented. We know he's a scorer. We know Fred Hoiberg likes to score points. So a good career for Teddy Allen. I think if he comes in and Nebraska makes the tournament and he's one of the, top 2 or 3 scorers on this team, then that's a guy that's reached his potential, I think, under Fred Hoiberg.
It's such a beautiful weekend. You're going to try to get out and golf?
Yes, I am. I was chipping in the backyard last night, and that was nice, but I need the real thing. I need the real thing. And I'm not talking getting dressed up and going to Jim Ager either. I need a real golf course. I don't even care if Sipple's there or not, but yeah, I need to go play. So
Jim Ager, a fine local sponsor of this week.
Hey, I love Jim Ager, but I want to be able to go hit
Sipple's there.
I want to be able to go hit the big dog off the tee box. That's all I'm saying. So.
By the way, Stibbs, did you just get back from Nebraska Crossing? What was going on? You had the mask on and everything?
No.
Hey-o.
I was going to bring this up maybe in the next segment, but a very fine listener, Pat H, is what was left on the thing. Wrote me a very nice little note on a Hy-Vee paper sack that said, "Stibbs, thank you so much for keeping unsportsmanlike conduct on the air during this time. We really appreciate the entertainment and frivolity you guys provide," and blah, blah, blah. Here's a gift from me to show my appreciation for what you're doing. And this is what was in the bag.
Holy cow!
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That is beautiful.
And the beer, but you're a coward for not putting your full name on there or showing your face. I want to know who you are so I can find you.
I want to know who you are too, so I can pay you back for buying that beer.
Oh my God.
That's amazing.
You know,
I love it.
the look on your face, it was like, here I thought we were going to get this very nice gesture, and then I saw those bottles. I didn't realize they were making Chiefs bottles.
I didn't realize they were making garbage over there either.
Oh, listen to this guy.
Now, come on, this is Bud Light, another fine local sponsor.
Another fine sponsor just being drugged through the mud by Stibbs.
Unbelievable. Well, you know what? You can ship those off to Baz. I'm sure he will enjoy those on the course.
I'm going to drink.
I will drink him on the course. Oh, yeah, see, there's no shame. He'll drink.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
I'm going to pour them into a very nice Broncos beer glass, and enjoy them out of that.
He's like Sipple. He's fake tough. He talks a big game.
Oh, and on that note, Baz, have a great weekend, and hit them straight. It's a little tough to hit. I mean, it's windy out there, so be careful.
Well, I tee it high and watch it fly. That's all you can do.
Amen.
Thanks, Baz.
Thanks, Baz.
Thanks, boys.
There he is, Chris Basnett, our Friday friend, joining us in the stream on Stibbs TV. That is. Let's see those.
By the way,
again.
I got a screenshot of it of Stibbs holding it up, and his head is peeking right around the beer. It's absolutely perfect. Now he's gonna cover his face up.
And it is. I mean, it's the championship ones too. It's not just Chiefs ones. It's Super Bowl Chiefs beer.
Don't let Gary get a hold of that, Stibbs.
No, I don't want any Chiefs fan to actually appreciate them. I will drink them.
Understandably so.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with the bottles? What are you going to do with the empty bottles?
He's going to break them against something.
Save some water from flushing the toilet, maybe, so I'll pee and I'll out.
It'll be like Lloyd Christmas and Dumb and Dumber. Just use them to pee in.
Yeah.
By the way, John, before we talk to Kent next segment, we got some NBA news coming in that we could get to and maybe even ask Ken about as well, since he is a big NBA guy.
That, my friends, is a tease. And we will address that. And yes, it is time for the El Camp Movie Club, the Florida Project, which is currently streaming on Netflix. Another fine, uplifting suggestion by Mike Stibbs. You know what? For suggesting that movie and the one from 2 weeks ago, you deserve that beer, Mike. You deserve it.
More on my list too. I can't wait 2 weeks.
I can't wait. There's no way you can get more depressing than the last two.
It might not be more depressing, but I got some weird ones.
I can't wait. So El Kent's Movie Club and some breaking NBA news when we come back. And we'll be back on Stibbs TV for virtual One Beer Friday, but back on the Zone